Thank you very much. I would like to thank all the speakers for their presentations and for being so efficient in their presentation. So we have time for a number of questions. As I said earlier, I would rely on your active participation, but I would like to start with one question, particularly to our guests from Asia. Being a representative of an important sub-Arctic actor with interests at stake, what are your expectations towards the work of the Arctic Economic Council? Ambassador Kim.
We are looking at the potential of the Arctic Economic Council, but we expect this organization or this body should be different from the normal meeting type organizations. AEC should provide real benefits to the companies which has interest in the Arctic businesses. So in this regard, I'm asking them, AEC, to provide real services to the businesses, companies in the Arctic, because money talks, and then when the non-Arctic country companies see the business opportunities in terms of money, and that they will be encouraged to participate in the Arctic activities, AEC activities actively. Thank you.
My expression is almost the same as Mr. Kim. So many kinds of Arctic activities, including commercial, social, and culture, might attract non-Arctic countries' interest in these days. And in this regard, the AEC will be an important entity for non-Arctic countries to bridge over the Arctic activities. This is my personal view.
Thank you very much. So it's open for questions from the audience. There should be microphones somewhere out there, but it's difficult to see if there are any hands. So, anyone want to be the first? Okay, it's over there. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Mead Treadwell. I'm president of PT Capital, and I also chair the Arctic Circle's task force on shipping and ports, which we'll report later today. I wanted to ask the co-chairs of the Arctic Council, or Arctic Economic Council, and Tero especially, how do you think this interest in northern shipping, especially container shipping, might be translated during the Finnish chairmanship?
Yeah, thank you for the question. As discussed, the value chains shall be global, and we have heard the interest of the Asian countries for these routes. So I consider that as twofold. It's first the destinational shipping, especially on the Northern Sea route, and secondly, with the potential from the Asian countries to start using those routes as an international route. There will be service needs, different types of service needs, which fit into the work of the Arctic Economic Council, like the infrastructural issues, perhaps icebreaker services, building ports, facilities, training required, and so forth. So I consider that there is modest potential during the Finnish chairmanship period, but the biggest growth potential is further away.
Would you like to add something to this, Tara?
I appreciate the feedback from our guests on the Arctic Economic Council. And just to provide a brief overview, the value with respect to membership inside the AEC can be found in the work of the working groups and also in the connections being made with current members. And the makeup of the AEC, with the legacy membership, you have businesses from across the Arctic who are involved in a variety of different industries, including responsible resource development, shipping companies, financial institutions, and tech companies. And so there is value in getting to know the membership, and I welcome the opportunity to do continued outreach to subarctic nations. Thank you.
Thank you. More questions from the audience. Okay, there are also there, yes?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Rockford Weitz. I'm a professor at the Fletcher School. I teach global maritime affairs there as well as entrepreneurship. And I'm very happy to hear the Korean perspective. I always tell my students that the Republic of Korea you can think of almost like an island because there's not a lot of land connections directly north through North Korea. And so the port of Busan, for example, is a thriving maritime cluster. And I think that with the chairmanship shifting to Finnish leadership next year, and all of the work that we've seen here on the sustainable development front, which involves a very interesting combination of shipping, of smart resource extraction, and entrepreneurship and innovation, how do you take what I describe as the world's newest emerging market, the Arctic, largely frozen from large-scale human activity, how do you develop it right? And how do you take lessons from Korea, which is an amazing success story on the economic front, on the shipping and maritime side, as well as the innovation side, and apply those lessons to the Arctic? Because I think it's very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who would like to start with this? Tero? Ambassador Kim.
Thank you very much for the kind words on the South Korea's achievements in the economic terms. The current government has launched a Eurasia initiative connecting Asia and Europe via any kinds of air and then sea and land connections. It aims to connect Asia and Europe through multimodal transportation systems. In this regard, Northern Sea Route and the Arctic Sea Route is one of the possible avenue for us to implement Eurasia initiative. Already, as you may be well aware, 97% of our GDP comes from our trading activities. That means that any kind of trading route is very much important. So we are very much place heavy emphasis on the Arctic Sea routes. If Arctic Sea routes is vibrant, and then goods and services will be transported. And then thanks to these activities, Arctic economic rim will flourish. Thank you.
As I mentioned in my talk this morning, the Asian side, cooperative development of the Asian side is also actually important because if we consider the Arctic shipping, there would be enough cargoes and enough commercial relationship between Asian side and European side. So in China, Korea, Japan has also their own characteristics, but they could help each other to utilize the chance to use the Arctic Sea route.
Excuse me. To answer your question, I want to just remind you there are 4 million people that live in the Arctic, and it's not necessarily largely frozen and with little activity. And when you look at responsible economic development and growth in the Arctic, the most prudent way to do that is by incorporating the local perspective. And that's the best de-risking agent to any project is from the beginning working with local communities and listening to and incorporating the local perspective.
The transport routes also create business development and sustainable development. A great example is the St. Lawrence Seaway system. So we could take benefit of that and also develop this idea, which is highly promoted by the previous Japanese ambassador to Finland, on the corridor from the northern parts of the Baltic Sea to the Arctic Ocean via rail link.
Thank you very much. Time flies. Unfortunately, we are very soon out of time, running out of time, but we can take one short and concise question from the audience. Any hand? Okay, on the left here, please.
Hi, my name is John Higginbotham. I'm from Canada. This summer, the cruise ship, the Crystal Serenity, came through the Northwest Passage, attracted a great deal of interest, and in fact, it was a model exercise in respect of Canada-US Coast Guard cooperation in respect of the safety of the ship. I wonder if your panel could comment a bit on where the Northwest Passage fits into this scheme. The decision to commercialize or jointly develop the Northwest Passage for a variety of reasons has really not yet been taken by the two governments. But as the Arctic ice melts, it is going to become, in 15 or 20 years, a viable alternative to the Northern Sea route. I wonder if, I'd really just like some comments on the Northwest Passage, and I hope that it is not ignored as the attention focuses on the Northern Sea route, because it does provide the shortest routes between Asia and the east coast of North America. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Big question, time for short answers.
I would take that as a broader scope, taking into account the developments of the Arctic infrastructure. So for that, I would like to concur Admiral Papp's remarks, calling for international collaboration for resources like ice breaking, doing, for instance, sort of ice B&B, icebreaker B&B, and using that also in the other types of infrastructural developments and infrastructural needs. So we definitely need the international value chains in this question.
Okay, the time is running out. I would like to thank our speakers, distinguished speakers, for the participation here this morning, and also for to the audience for their participation. This has been extremely enlightening. We have heard about the priorities of the Arctic Economic Council in coming years. We have heard about the importance of enhancing the visibility of the Arctic Economic Council in observer states, as Ambassador Kim pointed out. And we have heard an optimistic view on the Northern Sea route, that it is not a dream, as this can advance the commercial relations between Europe and Asia by shortening the distance drastically. So thank you all very much for participating in this session this morning, to the speakers and to the audience. Thank you.